Who doesn't love hearing this music get cut off over and over and over? Over and over and over. Okay, that was louder than I expected, but yes, audio is being picked up. Very good. Alright, so, I have a lot to talk about today. Many topics to discuss before talking about From. If I even get the chance to today, we shall see. Maybe I'll get lucky and get Dialga quick. Alright, so, first thing, remember last time I mentioned, hunting for a level 6 Kirlia in Brilliant Diamond? Oh, look at that, Brilliant Diamond. Pokemon Diamond, Dialga, So yeah, remember how last time I discussed that I'm trying to get a shiny Gardevoir in Brilliant Diamond, so I gave up on Masuda methoding Ralts, because after 1,000 eggs I gave up. So instead, I was using the Pokeradar on Route 203. There's a 1% chance to encounter a Kirlia, and it's even more difficult to get a chain of 40. So remember how I mentioned that last time? And last time I mentioned I got a shiny female Kirlia, level 6. And that's pretty significant because Ralts evolves into Kirlia at level 20. And then last time I mentioned I also got Pokerus. Well, an idea popped into my head. Not like this is gonna happen, right? What if by chance I managed to get the exact same thing to happen again? I get a combo of 40 for Kirlia, I catch a male shiny Kirlia, and I evolve it to a level 6 shiny Gallade. That is legitimately gotten. Not like that's gonna happen again. Well, exactly that happened again. I encountered another Kirlia. I got another combo of 40. And I got a male shiny Kirlia, level 6. And evolved it into a Gallade. All I wanted was a shiny Gardevoir. I ended up getting a shiny Kirlia and a shiny Gallade, yet still no shiny Gardevoir. I managed to get 2 40 combos for Kirlia before even one combo of 40 for Ralt. I managed to get Pokerus before getting a shiny Gardevoir. How crazy is that? I got Kirlia and Gallade shiny and Pokerus before getting a combo of 40 for Ralts, let alone getting a shiny Gardevoir. I'm still trying my damnedest to get a combo of 40 for Ralts, not even Kirlia, for Ralts, and get my hands on a Gardevoir. I would love to. What? I'm still trying every day to get a shiny Gardevoir, and no luck. And, speaking of other Pokemon news, let's see, today in Pokemon Go, now I did say I would have to slow down playing Pokemon Go, but that doesn't mean stop entirely. I did indeed clear out some space, however, believe me, I have played the game a lot less. So today in Pokemon Go, with the help of my sister, Z's phone in my hand, because I've been constantly trading myself back and forth. Because to get the shiny Meloetta in Pokemon Go, the shiny Meloetta Masterworks Research, I need to get 5 lucky Pokemon from trades. You can do 100 trades per day, and you have a 5% chance to get a lucky trade. So, you know, whenever my sister's not using her phone, my grubby little paws snatch it up. And then whatever just spawns around, I catch. Same thing with my game, and I just trade in hopes to get a lucky trade. Well, today, not only did I get a lucky trade, but I got 2. Today, with the help of my sister's phone, I got a lucky Slowpoke, as well as a lucky Combi. Male, sadly. Now, obviously I would like to get lucky trades for something better. However, you can't exactly pick what you get a lucky trade with. And like I said, in my case, all I was doing was just catching whatever spawned and just trading, hoping to get any sort of lucky trades. So sadly, I got a lucky trade Slowpoke and a Combi. And in the process, while I was catching random things that spawned around to trade, I caught a 0 IV Snivy. I don't even think this is my first 0 IV Snivy. I probably should have checked. But anyways, yeah, today I got a 0 IV Snivy, I got a lucky trade Slowpoke, and a lucky trade male Combi. Nice, so now I need 3 more lucky trades in order to move on. Because I think the next and final Masterworks research task for me to actually do is 100 research tasks. So that's going to take some time in of itself. Alright, so a couple more things to talk about before we jump into the main thing to talk about today that isn't from. Oh yeah, other Pokemon news. Today in TCG Pocket, I not only pulled the Lunala EX card, not the full art, not the rainbow, not the gold card, just the Lunala EX card, and I pulled the full art Alolan Vulpix. Nice, I got both of those today. So, couple of Hollywood news I would like to bring up. Not really Hollywood, more so just movies and other projects. So, to start off, remember how previously I was like, hey, what's going on with that next Godzilla x Kong film? What's happening with that? Well, had only I waited a couple more days before asking, I would have gotten my answer. Because a couple of days ago, we got the first little teaser for the movie. We got a short little Godzilla x Kong little teaser with a Monarch screen. With Monarch on the computer screen and then showing a lot of activity going on. And then we get the title reveal for the third Godzilla x Kong movie. Godzilla x Kong Supernova. Coming in 2027, so we're still about 2 years off from the film. And it is now in development. I'm only thinking, wow, it's only now in development? Now in production? So it just started. You know? Now, people are speculating the name Supernova might imply Space Godzilla. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of Space Godzilla before seeing other people bring it up. Space Godzilla supposedly is like a piece of Godzilla that broke off and flew off into space, and then that part mutated. Kind of sounds like Deoxys. So now we have a space version of a mutated Godzilla. Can't wait to see that. So, Godzilla x Kong Supernova, the third movie in the Godzilla x Kong trilogy. I'm excited. I'm super excited. We also got a little bit of news, a little bit of update on the TED series. Now, we didn't get any sort of, trailer or nothing. It's just a rumor at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. There's a rumor going around that an animated TED movie is in development. So it's great to see that the Ted franchise isn't dead. However, amongst a lot of other people, are questioning why not just make Ted 3? Why not just make a third live-action Ted film? Bring back Mark Wahlberg, Amanda Seinfeld? Yeah, why not just make a third Ted movie? I haven't really seen Mark Wahlberg in much these days. So, with these two projects, coming in our distant future, with these two different projects coming in our future, it seems like a really good time for me to catch up on what I'm behind on, being Monarch Legacy of Monsters and the Ted Show. I shall catch up on both in due time. Alright, speaking of which, we got some DC stuff to talk about. So, a couple days ago, the official Season 2 Peacemaker trailer came out. We got to see a lot of crossovers, lots of characters crossing over. We see Frank Grillo return as a live-action Rick Flag Sr., returning from Creature Commandos. We see that Sean Gunn has replaced Pedro Pascal as the live-action Maxwell Lord. I blanked on his name for a second. So we see that Sean Gunn is now Maxwell Lord. And alongside Maxwell Lord, we see not only Alan Scott... Wait, right? No, not Alan Scott. Guy Gardner. Ah, shit. Which Green Lantern was it? Oh my god, I'm blanking on it. Yeah, Guy Gardner. Whoops. My bad. So yeah, we see Guy Gardner's Green Lantern as well as Hawkgirl. Both will make their debut in Superman Legacy. So we're already seeing some crossover characters. So we already knew this before Peacemaker Season 2. The fact that Peacemaker Season 1 is set in the DCEU, and Peacemaker Season 2 is set in the DCU. Is it messy? Yes. However, well, it's not the first time that something like this has been done, where seasons of a show technically take place in different universes. Remember the mess that was Avengers Assemble? They crossed over with 2 different Spider-Man shows? And my personal theory, Seasons 1 and 2 of Superman and Lois takes place in the Arrowverse, while Season 3 and 4 do not. And speaking of Peacemaker, there's been a lot of little teasers and promotional vids today of John Cena maybe spoiling that Max will be rebranded back to HBO Max. Wow, what a waste of time. Kind of like with GameStop and EB Games. What a waste of time. We've just come full circle. We went from HBO Max to just Max, and now we're going back to HBO Max. What a waste of time. You guys remember DC Universe when that thing was still a streaming series? Streaming service? We went from DC Universe to HBO Max to just Max and back to HBO Max. Talk about DC stuff specifically. Does anyone actually use DC Universe? It's like a comic subscription service now. Does anyone actually use it? And you know what? Speaking of DC, we also got the official trailer for Superman Legacy today. So in the trailer, we see Lois Lane interview Clark Kent under the guise that he is Superman. I gotta say, getting excited for this film. It's still a little, vibrant for my liking. Like, it's really bright and vibrant. The colors really pop. Maybe pops a little too much. But, you know, it's just the trailers. I'll wait till the movie itself to see. If there's anything about James Gunn, he really likes vibrancy. He really loves his visuals, which is good. You know, it's a good thing. Although I feel like with this movie, maybe he can turn down the contrast just a little bit. CGI looks great. I'll say that. CGI for Superman Legacy looks great. I love that that James Gunn is really putting his heart and soul into this movie, his real love and care, taking his time to really make sure that this movie is polished and excellent. We also see in the trailer, once again, Frank Grillo returning as Rick Flag Sr. Man, James Gunn is treating Frank Grillo really well over at DC. Marvel kinda did him dirty a little bit. He wasn't even Crossbones when he started, and then when we finally got him as Crossbones, he was on screen for like 5 minutes as Crossbones. Alright, so enough about DC, now over to some Marvel stuff. So we got our first official small little teaser for Spider-Noir, the Spider-Man Noir series going to Prime Video starring Nicolas Cage. I'm excited. And apparently it's like a rated R series too, like it's an adult series. Well, that's not the right way to phrase it. But you know what I'm trying to say. So, yes. Now, my question is Spider-Noir a continuation of the character we saw in the Spider-Verse films? Is it the same black and white Peter Parker, Spider-Man Noir, that we saw in Into the Spider-Verse? Because he wasn't in the sequel. He wasn't in Across the Spider-Verse. So I wonder if it's the same character, just, in live action. I wonder if it's the same character, continuing the story. I mean, both do sound like Nick Cage after all. And that's because one of them is being played by Nick Cage in live action. Now, the best thing that I heard about this show is the fact that you can choose which version you want to watch it in. Black and white or color. I'm gonna watch both. I'm going to watch both versions. I'm gonna watch the black and white first, and then see what it looks like in color. I can't wait. I'm excited. In my head, at the moment at least, before watching it, I'm just going to assume it is a continuation of Spider-Man Noir from Into the Spider-Verse. I'm just gonna assume it's the same character. I mean, the moment he references, the multiverse, encountering different spider individuals, it's a slam dunk. It's done. We already know. Thanks to that, yes, it is indeed the same character. And you know what? You know what this proves? This proves that Sony is finally putting their Spider-Man IP to good use. Not giving us these crappy Spider-Man villains with their solo movies that nobody really cares about. They're finally putting some good use with their Spider-Man IP. Now, I don't think that'll be enough to win the fans over, as in, make the fans less pissed that Sony's super greedy, super mishandling their Spider-Man IP. I'm sure a lot of people would rather see, like, if they had to choose, Spider-Man showing up in Daredevil Born Again for even just one episode versus an entire Spider-Man Noir series. I think everyone would choose Spider-Man showing up in Daredevil. And you know what? Speaking of Daredevil, it has been officially confirmed. Yes, indeed, Jessica Jones will return in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Hell yeah! The Defenders are slowly making their way back. I want them all back. I want all of them back. Even Finn Jones back as Danny Rand. I do not want another Iron Fist. I want Finn Jones as Danny Rand. I want Finn Jones back playing Danny Rand and being done justice. I want to see properly done Daredevil and Iron Fist fully suited up, running around in the streets fighting crime. I want to see that. The thing that pisses me off the most is that they never even really put Finn Jones in the Iron Fist suit. Not really. They had him with the mask on, but that's about it. In terms of Jessica Jones, I highly doubt that for her return, they'll put her in a comic-accurate costume. I mean, it was teased in the Jessica Jones show, but for the tone of the character we got, it really would not make a lot of sense for her to ever wear that. I think these days Jessica Jones really is more known for just, you know, leather jacket, a scarf, a plain shirt. I think these days Jessica Jones is more known for that. You know what I would love to see? Like, here's an idea for you, Marvel. You can pay me my, you can pay me my royalties whenever you feel like it, whenever you like. Every season, bring back one of the Defenders. And then maybe, you know, one season, they all assemble together. So season 2 will have Jessica Jones. Season 3 will have Luke Cage. Season 4 will have Iron Fist. Season 5, all the Defenders show back up together, assembled. All together again. Yo, to finally have Jessica Jones back, to finally have another Netflix character back, aside from Punisher, of course, is fantastic, is amazing. So, something less amazing on the Marvel side, today we got the first, and probably last, official trailer for, of all things, Ironheart. Nobody cares about Ironheart. Nobody wants Ironheart. Disney and Marvel, they are contractually obligated to put out the heaping pile of trash that they made sooner or later, and they've already delayed it 3 years. Wasn't this show announced like 5 years ago? Wasn't it done filming like 3 years ago? If anything, and this isn't really that much of a positive, if anything, when we get the show, we can finally get context to that one What If episode. The one where, you know, the emergence destroyed the Earth. Well, not really that one. I guess also the context behind the one where Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop were in the Wild West, and there was that red cloak that we knew nothing about, because Ironheart was supposed to come out before. Anyways, Ironheart, they even had the nerve to put out a little bit of a director's thoughts kind of video, creator's thoughts, before the trailer. You know, it's like, everyone thinks that Riri Williams, Ironheart, is meant to be a successor to Iron Man, but that's not the case, because she has her own identity. It's like, god damn it. Like, they just constantly brought up Iron Man. It's like, Everyone thinks she's connected to Iron Man, but she's not. She's her own thing. Well, if she is her own thing, then you shouldn't need to mention Iron Man. And you gotta love their take, their spin, their twist on their word. You know. That she's not trying to be a successor to Iron Man. She's better than Iron Man. You know, she's more smart and more talented than Tony Stark ever was. I can't believe they're putting this out. I really can't believe it. I know they're contractually obligated, but still, I can't believe Disney's actually putting this trash out. Like, even they know what they have is hot garbage, right? Even they know what they made sucks. Otherwise, it would not have held back on it for 3 years. And they would not give us 3 episodes as the premiere. They're premiering this show with 3 episodes. They're really trying to get this out of the way. Just be like, alright, here, it's out in the open. Throw all the crap at us you want, and then let's move on. Man, I feel bad for Dominic Thorne. Like, she did nothing wrong, she just did a job, but, you know, it's the writing. It's the executive orders. It's Disney who's the problem. There was also, in the trailer, Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I don't really think that's a great selling point. That's not a really great thing to market. You know, they're really trying to sell the show. They're trying really hard. Hey, you know, Ryan Coogler, the very talented director, you know this really great film that he made? Yeah, he had work on this show as well. Please watch it. It's good, we promise. You see, we had talent work on it. Of course I'm gonna watch I'm gonna watch Ironheart for the sake of MCU completion. But I'm not looking forward to it, let me tell you that. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not excited for Ironheart whatsoever. I was not excited for Ironheart the moment they announced it. I'm just gonna watch it and be done with it. Never gonna watch it again unless I'm doing a full, and I mean full, MCU rewatch. There are certain things in the MCU that I just will never watch again. I think at the top of my list would be Thor: Love and Thunder. She-Hulk at least had the Daredevil episode. Echo was pretty horrible. Secret Invasion was terrible. Like, those are things I will likely never rewatch. Alright. Speaking of Ryan Coogler, what? Okay, yeah. Oh, right, something I forgot to mention. So, I don't know how well you guys can see this in this lighting. You guys remember a while ago how I showed this off? This Kirby thing? This Kirby thing that has a broken spot right up there? And remember how I said that I was going to need to buy a brand new one? Well, this whole time, I've been rather hesitant to buy a new one. Just because of the price. It's like almost $100, a couple bucks off of $100 for this thing. This thing here worth $100 bill? Not really. And the fact that I already have one, just broken, and I need to spend another $100 just to get a replacement, a fresh one, you know, I was hesitant. But then I checked eBay, the same listing again, and the price was like half. It was like 44 bucks something, almost like 50 bucks. I'm just like, yes, I'm buying this immediately. 50 bucks, that's almost the original price that this would go for. It's certainly closer to the original price than 100 bucks is. So you know what? I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I held back. I'm buying a new one for 100 bucks. Just because, look at that. It paid off. I wait a little bit longer, and I paid like half the price for it. Muy excelente. Alright, so anyway, speaking of Ryan Coogler, last night, instead of doing what I'm doing right now, being hunting Dialga, last night, instead of doing this, I went out with friends to go to the theater, and I watched Sinners, directed by none other than Ryan Coogler. Now, hold on, let me look up the cast, because I sure as hell don't remember a lot of the characters' names. So anyways, there's a bunch of actors that I recognize in this movie, particularly Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, and Wonmi Mosaku. Who would have thought I would see on screen at the exact same time Killmonger, Kate Bishop, and Hunter B-15? Who would have thought that I would ever see Killmonger plowing B-15 instead of, you know, Peter Poole? So anyways, Sinners. I watched this with my friends last night. I knew very little about this movie going into it. When my friends brought up, yo, you guys want to go watch Sinners? I was like, I kind of rather watch Thunderbolts. However, most of them instead wanted to watch this movie, so, you know, majority rules. We watched Sinners instead. So yeah, I knew very little about this film. Part of me wanted to watch the trailer before, because I hadn't watched the trailer in full. You know, whenever the trailer was on, I didn't really pay attention to it, just because this wasn't really a movie I was interested in watching. Despite the fact that I heard good stuff about it. I heard that this was a great movie, you know. I heard that it had great reviews, it had great word of mouth, so I thought, okay, it sounds like a great film, and my friends want to watch it, alright, I'll tag along and see what this movie's about. Like I see over here, I see on the main page of Google, it has an 8.1 out of 10 for IMDb, it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, 9 out of 10 on Screen Rant, so this is a pretty well-rated movie. So I was thinking, like, alright, friends want to go watch it, it's getting good reviews, I'll check it out, I'll see what this movie is about. I wanted to watch the full trailer, like all the trailers before going into the movie. Yeah, I forgot. So I went into this movie pretty blind. All I really knew about the film was it had, like, a vampire aspect to it, because I saw one shot with Haley Steinfeld with fangs and blood on her face. They kind of spoiled what would happen to her character. So yeah, I went into this movie pretty blind. Not gonna lie, The only reason I watched this movie, like the biggest reason, the number one motivator for me to go watch this movie was to see Haley Steinfeld. That's really it. Aside from the fact that this movie has great reviews, only reason I even tagged along, really, was for Haley Steinfeld. And the sad part is, she's in very little of the film. Oh, don't look at me like that. Don't pretend you didn't watch a movie just because Sydney Sweeney's in it. I gotta look up what that movie's name was again. Ah, that's it. If it wasn't for Sydney Sweeney, you think I would have watched movies like Anyone But You or Immaculate? I still haven't seen Madam Web, despite the fact that Sydney Sweeney's in it. Anyways, so I knew very little about this film going in. I just bit my tongue. So, majority of anything that happened in this movie would have been a big surprise to me. Now, I will say that this film is okay. It's alright. It's not amazing, but it's also not terrible. It's just okay in my eyes. I gotta say, my biggest criticism for the film is that it feels like it's two different films mashed together. The first half of the film, or the first two acts of the film, is completely different from the third act. It is entirely different. It almost feels like two different movies. The tones are completely different. Everything's different. It almost feels like this film would have been better off had it chose one thing to focus on instead of two. Because, like I said, it feels like two different stories, two different movies mashed together. It felt like, you know, a period piece where a couple of black folk at the time were trying to open up a little party spot. And then it also felt like a vampire horror movie. It feels like two different movies. I feel like it would have been better if they just stuck with one idea. Either make it entirely a period piece or an entire vampire film. It was weird. Half the film is different from the other half. However, I will give it points for creativity, because realistically, what other film is like this? What other director would have made a film like this? You know, where half the movie is one thing, and then the other half is, of all things, a vampire film. I'll give it points for creativity. However, it loses points on the fact that both sides feel so disconnected. The tone shifts drastically. I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching this movie, the first two acts were so incredibly slow, so incredibly boring. A part of me was thinking, man, I wish I watched Thunderbolts instead of this. I'm probably never going to rewatch this movie. And then the third act happened with the big vampire set piece. And I'm just like, okay, if I ever rewatch this movie, I'm skipping the first two acts of the movie and I'm jumping straight to the third act with all the vampire goodness. What movie is this? It's Sinners. So yeah, the movie feels like it's really two different movies together. Anyways. Wait, hold on. And you know, this movie is technically categorized as a horror film. Like I said, the first two acts were pretty slow. Not really much horror happening in the first two acts. There was a couple of cheap, and I mean really cheap, jump scares. Like at the very beginning of the film, we get flashbacks to moments we haven't seen happen yet. Because the beginning of the movie, we see our main character, he's all beaten up, and then they flash back a day before. So we have these like really loud bang jump scares of moments that happened before, when we didn't even see them happen yet. So unless you're re-watching the film, you probably won't recognize them. And because they flashbang you so quickly, you can't even really tell what you're looking at. So unless you're re-watching the film, you really don't know what's happening with those jump scares. Did you hear Canada Post is going to go on strike again? Probably, Sag. Didn't I tell you about this a couple weeks ago? Well, you bringing it back up pretty much confirms that it's probably going to happen. Anyway, so let us begin. So I can't tell really who's the main character. There's really 2/3 main characters of this movie. And I say slash because Michael B. Jordan, he plays 2 roles in this movie, which I didn't know. I didn't know he played 2 roles. He did double the roles in this movie. Oh, not Canada Post? DHL? They're gonna go on strike as well. Oh. My packages! People in Canada be like, where's my Nintendo Switch 2 in the mail? So yeah, I did not know Michael B. Jordan played 2 roles in this film. Whatever movie magic they made to copy and paste his face on the body double, yo, they really did a good job. I saw behind the scenes footage of them having like something like a collar, a camera collar. So Michael B. Jordan had to wear this like almost neck brace that had 10 to 12 cameras surrounding his face all the time so they can capture what his face looks like. And then, you know, paste it onto the body double. So our main character, Sammy, as well as his 2 cousins, Stack and I think his name was Smoke. Stack and Smoke, both played by Michael B. Jordan. Man, you should have seen my face when I saw 2 Michael B. Jordans on screen. I'm just like, wait a second, there's 2 of him. So yes, Michael B. Jordan does play twins, Stack and Smoke. So let's see. So like I said, the beginning of the movie, Sammy comes back to the church. Oh, by the way, this movie takes place primarily in, I think, 1932. So it is a period piece. In fact, the very beginning of the movie, the very start, we get this like almost sort of campfire story, and we see these like almost native kind of storytelling visuals where people who are born with a talent born with musical talent are able to connect both life and death, are able to transcend time itself. And those with these talents sometimes may even draw evil from the shadows. So the basic premise of this movie is some people who have musical talent can connect life and death itself, can transcend time, the past and the future, and if you're not careful, your musical talent can also attract evil. Alright, what a concept. So yeah, beginning of the movie, we see Sammy roll back up to the church, all beaten up, scratched up, bloody, with a broken guitar handle in his hand, and the pastor is just like, drop it, boy, drop it, in the name of the Lord, drop the guitar. And then we flash back to one day earlier to see what happened. So, the funniest thing about this, so, like I said, it's a period piece. The movie takes place in 1932, and it's a primarily black film. Majority of the cast are black. It's a black film. So, my friends also did not know what to expect from this movie. So, when they saw cotton fields, they saw black folks picking cotton, my friend to the side laughed, and I could not help but laugh at him laughing. Because it just caught him so off guard. Him seeing these folks picking cotton, you know, that stereotype. My friend, it caught him so off guard that he started laughing, and that made the rest of us start laughing. So yes, it is set in the past. And because it's set in the past, there's a lot of N-words be thrown around. Both A's and hard R's. You know, I feel like we as a society, at least on this we agree on, we silently agree not to cancel white actors who, you know, say the word for a movie for Hollywood. Because you don't really see people in Hollywood be canceled because, like, you know, this actor in this movie playing this character said the word. We have to cancel the actor. You don't really see that happen, you know? I'm sure we all remember what happened when PewDiePie let the word slip out. So I think we at least understand when actors in a movie say the word, it's a movie, they're acting, you know? I mean, for God's sake. I feel like people forgot that Michael Rooker said the word in The Walking Dead. In fact, he said it twice. I think people forget that Rick Grimes said the word. He repeated what Merle said. Yet nobody cancels, nobody cancels Michael Rooker or Andrew Lincoln. And I'm not saying we should cancel them, I'm just saying, right? It seems like we at least understand, we agree, alright, people who say the word for a movie, it's just a movie, they're acting. It's almost like, you know, actors in Hollywood get the ultimate N-word pass. Anyways, so we meet our other main characters, Michael B. Jordan playing both Stack and Smoke. They are interested in buying this almost like barn out in the middle of nowhere. They meet this white man, this very offensive white man. So they buy the barn off of them because Stack and Smoke, they plan to turn the barn into a little bar, a little dance club, a little place where cotton picking workers get a chance to relax, have some fun, spend a little bit of money that they earned on, you know, beer, food, things to reward themselves for all their hard work. And goddamn, remember when times were like that, where things costed 10 cents, where $20 was like equivalent to, I don't know, $1,000 now? It's like, I'll pay you $20 for this. Geez, that's like these days saying, I'll pay you $1,000 to do this. So they buy the barn from the white man, though we find out later on what his deal is. You know, because this white guy, he's just like, we cleaned the floors. Yep, floors are very clean. Don't worry about why we have to clean the floors. So our main character, Sammy, meets up with his cousins, and both Michael B. Jordans split up. I think it was, I forget which twin is which. One of the twins is in charge of, like, buying food, you know, getting catering for the big place as their grand opening. The other twin goes with Sammy to get some entertainment. So the first twin, I forget which twin it was, either Stack or Smoke. He goes over to, like, you know, the Old West kind of looking place. He goes to this grocery store where there is an Asian family working there. With this being primarily a black film with a handful of white people in it, like Haley Steinfeld, I kind of question, why is there an Asian family here? I mean, there's nothing wrong with an Asian family being in here, but it almost feels like they put an Asian family in this movie for the sake of having one. You know? It's kind of like when a movie is primarily white and they have a black person in there just for the sake of it. You know, they kind of didn't need to have a Chinese family in the movie, but whatever. It is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with it, okay? There's a Chinese family in this movie. Nothing wrong with that. Just kind of felt forced, whatever. So yeah, they catered the barn with a bunch of luxurious food costing like a couple bucks. They also have the Asian person, the Asian lady, her name is Grace, create a sign for the place, a banner, you know, a logo. Let's see, and then I think it was Smoke. I think this twin was Smoke I'm talking about. And then Smoke goes over and visit his baby's grave, which is pretty sad. We also meet his love interest, Annie, played by none other than B15 herself. Well, they get it on. They do get it on. We see some humping take place. Though, you know, the movie cuts away before we see any action. Once again, I never thought I would see Killmonger plowing Hunter B15. Let's see, over on the other twin, so Stack and Sammy go over to the train station to recruit, what's his name? Well, all I see here is Buddy Guy. I don't know if that's the actor's name or the character's name. They recruit a musician, you know, someone who plays the harmonica. And they tempt him with beer. Irish beer. And money, too. They also go down to the cotton field. And they hire someone, I think his name is Cornbread. Like, I'm seeing here on IMDb, his name is Cornbread. They have him be the bouncer for this place. So, you know, the bouncer. He stands in front of the door like, alright folks, y'all gotta move along. You're not coming into this place. You're not welcome. That kind of person. The security. Sammy also at the train station meets this lovely lady, Pearline, I think was her name. Damn, man was smooth, I'll give him that. He's just like, well, I see you tonight? You know I'm married. Happily? Damn, my man's is smooth. I would not have expected to use that line. Oh, you're married? Happily? No? So everything is smooth, everything is fine, everything's low-key kind of boring. So they're building up to this barn dance club kind of place where beer will be served, music will be played, you can dance and have fun, get some food to eat. And then, so out of nowhere, we see this guy with a bunch of burn marks on him go to this random house in the middle of nowhere, pounding at the door like, please, let me in, please. So the two people who open the door have guns pointed. It's like, what do you want? Get off of our property. It's like, please, I'm being hunted. You have to help me, please. I'll pay you in gold. Look at this gold I have. So the two people, whatever, their names aren't important. They let him in, they hide him, and then these bunch of Native American guys are hunting him. They're just like, ma'am, are you hiding him? He isn't what he says he is. He isn't what he seems. Oh, the sun's about to set? Good luck to you, ma'am. You know, prayers to you and what happens next. And then they leave. So the lady goes back, calling her husband. No reply, so she goes over and sees that her husband is dead. Blood all over, and the guy they just let in, with the burn marks, has been healed. Glowing red eyes, fangs. It's like, don't worry, he'll be fine. As will you. So yep, the person they just let in is a vampire. And he has burn marks because he was under sunlight. Well, it makes me kind of question, how was he out there the whole time? Because he was hunted by people on horseback and in a car. So this vampire guy, I see here his name is Remick. How did Remick survive? He was out during daylight. You know? He was out in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of place with shade. And he was being hunted. So, did he run across the field under the sunlight for who knows how long and not die from the sun? Because he made it there before sunset. So there was a good amount of time he was out there under the sun. Whatever. So, now Remick, the main vampire villain, has two other vampire henchmen along. Alright, the party goes good. Oh, right. Hold on. At the train station, we meet Haley Steinfeld's character. Her name is Mary, and she is a love interest to Stack. So yeah, at the party, everything's going good. Food, drinks, music. Haley Steinfeld's character Mary shows up. Now, there was this crazy sequence that happened, this really bizarre sequence. So, we have Sammy playing the guitar, as well as the guy playing the harmonica. He's performing his ass off. Like, he's really good too. Remember how at the beginning I mentioned the main premise for this movie? Those with musical talent can transcend time and space, life and death. Well, as Sammy was ripping up the guitar, we see glimpses of the past and the future. In terms of the future, like I said, because this movie is set in the 30s, we see this like almost 80s pop star guitarist show up out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck? We see these like ancient Native Americans banging on drums, dancing around. We see this Chinese dancer, because there's a Chinese family in this movie, working with them at the club. You know, it's just a mix of past, future. It's like, what the fuck? Why is there an 80s rock star in the 1930s? Just showed up out of nowhere. And because of Sammy's talent, he attracted evil to the location, being Remick the vampire, for some reason. Yeah, for some reason, evil is attracted to musical talent. Okay. So Remick the vampire has 2 followers with him now. So they try to go into the club. However, Cornbread the bouncer denied them entrance. So, one story plot for this movie is that vampires cannot enter unless allowed in. So they can't just run into a building and kill everyone in there. No, they have to convince the people standing there to allow them in before they can actually infiltrate. Which, alright. I guess I've never seen that before. It's kind of why Remick, at the first scene we meet him, had to beg those people to let him in. Instead of just the moment they opened the door, he just ran his ass in. So in this, vampires need to be allowed in. Otherwise, they can't step foot in for some stupid reason. Anyway, so Cornbread denies the 3 vampires' entrance, despite not knowing they were vampires, of course. Let's see, party's going good. Eventually, Haley Steinfeld's character, Mary, she's just like, Stack, you and your brother Smoke, you robbed those places to get all that money, didn't you? It's like, give me your gun, I can go over, make sure they don't suspect you. So, Haley Steinfeld, I keep calling her Haley Steinfeld, Mary leaves the club at night. She sees the vampires out there, acting all innocent to, draw in their prey. Well, Haley Steinfeld, I keep calling her Haley Steinfeld. Mary grows suspicious seeing Remek's glowing red eyes. She aims her gun at them and is like, alright, I'm heading back inside. She made the dumb mistake of turning around, because when she turned around, Remek just jumped up towards her, and then the screen just cuts away. You can almost hear a Mario jump sound effect. It was pretty funny. So anyways, we already knew thanks to the trailer that Mary was going to be turned to a vampire. There was this one scene where Sammy got pretty close to Pearline, which, good for him. Brother is getting some. So, Sammy locked himself in a room with Pearline. He is about to give her oral. And she's just like, hold on, let me clean myself at least. I walked here. And he's just like, but I want to taste you. And then we just see him go in. We see her enjoy herself. It's like, God, man. I think I might be with her. At least let her clean herself. Man, it reminds me of that one meme. I'm sure you've seen it. It's that meme online, that one post. Men only want one thing and it's disgusting. And then you see a comment by the Xavier guy. Then wash it. Well, Sammy's not the only one who got some in this movie, because Stack, being the love interest to Mary, who is now a vampire, Mary and Stack lock themselves in a room, and they get it on. Now, one detail that Mary noticed when she wasn't vampirized yet is that she noticed Remek's drool. There's a big glob of drool. As, he's about to feast on her. So yeah, obviously Stack has no idea vampires are attacking. And he has no idea that Mary is now a vampire. So, when Stack sees a big glob of drool on Mary's face, she's just like, you want some? And he's just like, yeah. So he opens his mouth and she just drools right into his mouth. Now, my friend told me that he heard there was a scene in this movie that was reshot several times, and then he was joking like it was this. This was the scene. Michael B. Jordan constantly needing to reshoot Haley Steinfeld drooling into his mouth. Now, believe me when I say this, I want to taste Haley Steinfeld as much as the next guy, but not like this. Alright? I don't want someone drooling into my mouth. I don't think I would even want someone like Sydney Sweeney to drool into my mouth. That's just not my kind of kink. You feel me on that? Like, having someone drool into my mouth, that's nasty. I don't think I would even... If Sydney Sweeney offered to drool in my mouth, I don't think I would even take it. I'd take anything else, I don't think I would take that. So anyways, aside from drooling into his mouth, So Smoke is trying to look for his brother. So he sends Sammy to look. Sammy is like, where you at, Stack? Opens the doors. We see Mary riding him. So he's just like, whoa. Closes the door, smiles, and he's just like, yeah, brother knows. Brother knows to leave him alone. Just be like, all right. Big Cuz is getting some. Best not to disturb. He's doing his work. He's getting it. Best to leave him alone. Although, Smoke is like, I tell you to get my brother, then you get my brother. So it's like, nah, he's busy right now. Man, fuck this. I'm gonna get him myself. So, Smoke goes over to get Stack, but then we see Stack dying as Mary is biting into his neck, blood gushing out. So Smoke unloads an entire clip into her, and she just gets up, laughing, runs out. Well, party's over, so everyone at the party, the entire big crowd, leaves. Which is a horrible idea, because there's vampires outside. Well, they figure out that vampires are in play. Oh yeah, the dude, the bouncer dude, Cornbread, he had to leave to take a piss. And we all know what happened to him. So when Cornbread shows back up, he's just like, alright, let me in. Come on, let me in, invite me in. Annie is able to realize, wait a second. You came in and out of this place like a dozen times tonight. Why does your big ass need anyone to invite you in when you can easily just push us out the way and come in yourself? So she is able to realize, alright, vampires are at play and they need to be allowed in. They can't just rush in here and go on a killing spree. So Stack's dead, but his vampire body reanimates. So he's locked in the room, but he's just like, hey, come on, let me out. Let me out of here. Come on, it's me, man, it's me. Let me out. We all know we can't do that. Anyway, so they realize that vampires are attacking. Sammy's just like, oh man, my dad told me this story about evil being attracted to musical talent. I should have listened to him. Grace also sent her husband to go get the car because, you know, something's going on. The host's brother died. We gotta go home. We gotta get back to our daughter. Because the Asian couple, they have a daughter. But they can't leave because they are surrounded by vampires. So they need to not only arm themselves with vampire-killing things, like silver, wooden stakes, garlic. They also need to wait the night, wait until sunrise. But they obviously didn't do that. Man, so there was this one dude inside the barn, inside the club, who was on the floor, blood on the floor underneath him. So they're just like, who bit him? Who was a vampire and killed him? Come on, let's drag his dead body out before he comes back. And then they need to decide. They need to figure out, all right, which one of us stuck in here is a vampire? We're all going to eat this clove of garlic to prove none of us are a vampire. So they each eat a clove of garlic. Perline, she's hesitant. And she's just like, damn, I don't like the taste. Smoke is just, like, pointing a gun at her. Eat the damn garlic. I'm just like, yeah, I agree with him. Because Sammy's just like, come on, man, put the gun down. She's not a vampire. And Smoke just, you know, socks him in the face. I'm with Smoke. I'm just like, girl, eat that goddamn clove of garlic. So everyone surviving eats garlic. None of them are vampires, so they realize, wait a second. If none of us are vampires, then who killed that guy? They go over. Turns out the blood on the floor is a spilled bottle of wine. So the dude that they tossed out was a living, breathing, normal guy who passed out. and they just tossed him outside. They tossed an innocent living guy outside to be feasted on by vampires. You know, he's pounding at the door, scared for his life, because there's things out here happening, vampire things. So as they're about to let him in, because they realize, oh shit, we just threw out someone who's alive. They open the door, and at that exact moment, he gets attacked and brutally killed. There's this one scene, I think it's here that happened, this one scene in the movie that is really out of place, but in my opinion is like the best scene in the whole movie. Like the entire movie, this is the best scene. Because everyone who left the party went outside, they all dead. Everyone was turned into a vampire. Everyone died. One would think with that many people outside being devoured by vampires, you would hear screaming. But no, they all died peacefully and quietly. Anyways, so this one moment in the movie, we get this, I kid you not, Irish dance sequence where Remick has a giant dance circle around him, and all the vampires are dancing around him, singing. He's doing like tap dancing, Irish tap dancing. It was out of place. It was bizarre in the movie. But I gotta tell you, the song went hard. Why was the music catchy as hell? Why did it look like the vibes were off the chain? Shit, if I was walking by, I saw a giant crowd of people like this, dancing, singing, having a great time, shit, I'd like to join in too. It was really cool seeing how everyone dancing around had glowing eyes, glowing vampire eyes. It was really cool. The scene may have been really out of place, but hey, the scene was awesome. The scene was so fun. And that's the best way to describe this really out of place scene. Fun. You just see them randomly dancing. The music is kind of on point. It just looked great. In my opinion, that was the best scene in the movie. The scene that really sticks out as why is it in the movie. So, Grace's husband is just like, come on, let's get in the car. Let's go home. Unless you want to let me back in. Will you allow me back in, honey? So then Remick is just like, maybe we'll go after that daughter of yours next. So because the way it works in this movie, whenever someone becomes a vampire, it's almost like a hive mind. So the moment Remick makes someone else a vampire, he knows their thoughts, he knows what they have, their memories. So because Remick has made the Asian guy a vampire, Remick then was able to understand and speak Chinese. So the white vampire guy, the white Irish vampire guy, was able to speak Chinese because he got the Asian guy vampirized. And here's the funny thing. This is the funniest thing ever. When he spoke Chinese, of course there were subtitles. After the movie ended, my friends and I were like, what language was that? What the hell language was that? They said it was Chinese. It did not sound Cantonese. It did not sound Mandarin. Because if it was either one of those two, either myself or my friends would understand if it was Kanto or Mando. It didn't sound Japanese. It didn't sound Korean. Was it Taiwanese? Like, what the fuck kind of Chinese language was that if no one watching Chinese-wise understood it? Like, what the fuck kind of Chinese was that? None of us understood what he said, if not for the subtitles. So anyways, because Remick threatened Grace's daughter, she's very impatient now. Instead of waiting the night and getting to her daughter and moving to a safer place, she now is full of rage and vows to kill all the vampires by hand. So, you know, they prepared weapons. And eventually, they just can't wait anymore for some stupid reason. Had they waited like 20 more minutes, the sun would have came up. Fucking idiots. So, the big barn door opens. Oh, wait a second. No. Before that. Something else was revealed. Because the vampire hive mind is a thing, the two white people that Remick initially vampirized, they had a white hood in their arsenal. they're clan members. Just like the person who sold the twins the barn. The reason the floors are always cleaned, it's because the barn is a slaughterhouse for, you know, certain darker-skinned individuals. It's a slaughterhouse for clan members. So that's why that guy at the beginning sold the twins the barn. And they know this thanks to the hive mind. So that comes into play at the very end of the film. So anyways, the end of the film, the big third act, or the big final battle. So the vampires just open the door and let themselves in, and I'm just like, wait a second. I thought they had to be welcomed in. I thought they had to be granted permission to come in. How are they able to just now walk right in, no problem? I was told after the film, my friends told me, like, it's because Grace, she was so mad. She was just like, come on in! Come the fuck in! Come on! Bring it on! So, you know, by saying that, she welcomed the vampires in, so they were able to come in. So, you know, they put up a good fight. Wooden stakes, garlic. One by one, they killed as many vampires as they could. But sadly, one by one, each one of them fell, each one of them died. And then we get this fight sequence between Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, where Smoke is now fighting his vampirized brother, Stack. He finally does put his brother down by staking him in the heart. Sammy jumps out, and as he tries to run away, once again, Remick does a Mario jump. And, you know, just like, there's a little pond outside. So he's taking his sweet time to kill Sammy, taunting him. Because Remick really just wants Sammy because of his musical talent. Because, you know, the legend goes, music can transcend life and death. You know, past and future. And that's what Remick wants. The ability to connect life and death. Past and future with music. Alright. So, because Remick and Sammy are at the pond, Remick just keeps on saying stuff, and then he just keeps on dipping Sammy into the water, borderline baptizing him. A bunch of the other vampires show up to watch. And then out of nowhere, Smoke shows up and completely just stakes Remick through the chest, through the back. I'm just like, none of the other vampires saw that. None of the other vampires tried to stop him. Now, granted, all the other vampires were stunned because Sammy hit Remick in the head with his guitar, breaking it, and then there was a giant wheel lodged in his head. So, Hive Mind, the main vampire gets hurt, they all get hurt, so they were all stunned. So I guess that explains it, kinda. So Smoke stakes Remick straight through the chest, and then the sun rises, all the vampires burst into flames, they all die. It's over. So we see that Sammy has gone back to the church, like we saw at the beginning of the film. The pastor is trying to tell him, drop the guitar, boy. Relinquish your sins. All that kind of stuff. Smoke, however, is now taking out his anger on everything that happened on the clan members who show up the next morning to attack the barn. Man, they don't hold back, you know? They're just like, let's kill us a N-word. And this part was funny. It was stupid. There was like 24 guys armed with guns getting ready to enter the barn to, you know, have a slaughter fest. They're just like, but the barn is locked. How do we get in? Well, I forgot to mention that Smoke was in the army. So Smoke, grabbing his many guns, just single-handedly mows down all the white folks. One person is able to kill like 24 guys, all of them armed. So, you know, everyone's running for cover. Smoke buried a Tommy gun. He is able to dig it up, hold on to it, and completely rapid fire, all in the span of nobody shooting him. There's like 24 guys. I'll be generous. He maybe shot half of them, so half of them aren't able to stand up and shoot. There's like 12 guys there, and nobody shot at him. Everyone gave him time to dig up the Tommy gun he buried, grab it, and continue shooting. Nobody shot at him. Nobody landed even a single shot on him as he did all that. Smoke is able to shoot everyone while he himself only took 1 bullet. Wow. But that 1 bullet was killing him because it hit him, I don't know, in the kidney, maybe? It went clean through. You see an exit wound. And gotta say, damn, dude didn't even flinch. Bullet wound went clean through him. He didn't even flinch. He just kept on going, kept on shooting. As he was dying, he saw his love, Annie, who died, breastfeeding their dead son. Alright, I don't know why you had to include breastfeeding. You could have just had, you know, the man's dead love interest holding their baby. You didn't really need to add in the breastfeeding part, but okay. So, you know, Smoke is dying. He sees he sees his woman and son, and he finally gets to hold his baby in his hand. Sammy, on the other hand, because he got scratched on the face during the fight, so he has 3 scars on his face, he's deciding, you know, do I give up my love for music to, you know, never attract evil again? He's really debating back and forth. Well, jump forward like 50 years. It's now like the 1980s. And we see Sammy be pretty successful with a music career. So, no, he did not give up music, despite it potentially attracting goddamn vampires. And in a way, it's like, can I really blame him? If me doing what I love, if me shiny hunting attracted evil, literally attracted vampires, nearly killed me, do I stop doing what I love to do? Do I stop shiny hunting? Or do I keep on doing it and risk evil coming again? Anyway, that's pretty much it for the film. All the vampires died in the sunlight. All of them. Notice how I talk more about the third act of the film than the first 2 acts? Just because the third act is where all the vampire stuff happened? And the first two acts, very little happened. Now, I don't know if I would give this film like a 9 out of 10, like I see it says here on Screen Rant. 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. I have to deduct this movie a couple of points just because the first half of the movie was just so boring. It was so slow. And the one thing that this movie kind of failed to do was build up its characters. Like I said, all the characters died when the vampires came into the barn, aside from our two main characters, that is, because of plot armor. So all of our main characters, or secondary characters, died. The movie tried to give them an introduction, make us care for these characters, so that when they died, it would be a bigger impact. It just didn't work. Whenever one of the characters died, I was just like, who was he again? What was the person's name again? Like, they had all that time, and I mean all that time, in the first two acts of the film to build up the characters. Not a whole lot of building up, especially for the secondary characters. It was mostly the twins and Sammy who were built up. We had a little bit of build up for Mary's character. However, her death wasn't really that impactful, since it happened off screen. And I still have to docket some points for the fact that, like I said, the first half of the movie feels completely different from the second half. First half is just a period piece. The second half is a goddamn vampire thriller. So it feels like two different movies. The tone completely changes halfway into the film. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick with my rating. I feel like 7 is too high, but 6 is too low. I think I'm gonna give this movie a 6.5. That's me. That's my personal rating. If you love this movie, hey, more power to you. That Irish dance sequence was something else, though, I tell you. Anyways, there you go. Sinners. Directed by Ryan Coogler. Yeah, there you go. I will likely never rewatch this film, and if I do, I would skip to the third act. And only watch the third act. Oh, by the way, tomorrow I have a job interview. Now, it's not for the position I told you guys about before. It's for a completely different job. The job that I studied for in school. Ignore the continuity error in the timeline, because I have a Breath of the Wild video coming out after this, discussing, getting a job. But yet, here I am, before that comes out, mentioning I have a job interview. Ignore the timeline, because, I recorded that before this. So, tomorrow, I have a job interview at 4:30. Thankfully, though, tomorrow, I have a day off. Which kind of sucks too, because on my day off, I gotta go out and do this. Oh well. Alright, now that I'm done talking about sinners, let us finally, in a moment, talk about From. I owe you guys a discussion on From. However, I want to see if a certain douchebag shows up. If not, then I'll talk about it. And boy oh boy, my thoughts on this episode have been building, has been festering, ever since I watched it. Give me a second. Just give him a couple minutes. See if he even replies that he's gonna come. Because he texted me an hour ago saying he just got back home from work. He's exhausted. He'll join later if I'm still on here doing this. So let's see if he replies. A Mr. Beast video came out 4 days ago? How did I miss this? Okay, let's talk about From. He didn't reply, so I'm guessing maybe he fell asleep. He did say he was exhausted. What? Exhausted from work? I don't think he's showing up. Let's talk about From, shall we? We've waited for me to talk about this for like a week now. Episode 1 of Season 3. Oh, I have thoughts about this episode. I have thoughts. Things that I brought up in previous seasons, they kind of answered in this episode that, no, they do not. They did not think about what I thought about. Alright, so, episode 1 of season 3. No surprise, it follows immediately after season 2 ended. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Alright, there we go. Now let's talk about From. So yeah, this picks up immediately after season 2 ended, and I think it's pretty obvious that seasons 1, 2, and 3 were filmed back to back to back. It's pretty obvious. You can really tell by the age of the kid actors. Ethan and the little boy in white, you can tell that the actors playing them didn't really age all that much, but you can tell they're aging. So it's pretty obvious these episodes, these seasons were filmed back to back. So, at the end of season 2, we see that Tabitha fell out of the lighthouse and has been teleported back to the real world. She woke up in a hospital bed. And this season, we get the continuation of that. We see Tabitha waking back up in the real world, in a hospital. Not sure what happened, not sure where she is. Doctor comes in, Tabitha asks, "Where am I?" Doctor said, "You're in Maine." Man, Maine my ass. We all know this show was filmed in Canada. And we can see that the green screen window showing Maine is pretty obviously green screen. So Tabitha has no ID on her. Nobody knows what happened to her. The doctors would like to run some more tests. The police are on their way so that they can ID her and try to figure out what happened. However, Tabitha knows she can't tell anyone what really happened, because no one would believe her. They would probably throw her into solitary confinement. You know? If she tells anyone, especially doctors and the police, we were trapped in this place where we couldn't leave and monsters come out at night to hunt us. Alright, lady, get into the insane asylum, get into, shit, what's the name? Aw, shit, what was the name? Hold on, why can't I think of the name? Arkham, that's it! Alright, lady, get into Arkham Asylum. So, when the doctors aren't looking, Tabitha leaves. She leaves the hospital, and as she's crossing the road, she sees the little boy in white. She tries to cross the road, but of course, typical show trope, she crosses the road without looking and almost gets hit by a car. As she looks away and looks back, the little boy in white's gone. Wow. Alright. So, Tabitha walks around quote-unquote Maine to look around. I tell ya, I didn't believe it for a second. I didn't know if it was this place they were trapped in, pulling a fast one on her, or if she was really out there, back in the real world. Because the little boy in white showing up before her is a pretty big sign that, alright, it's not over. And of course it's not over, there's a whole freaking season ahead of us. Back over at wherever the hell these characters are, a couple days has passed and Tabitha has not returned, so everyone's fearing that Tabitha may have died out there, or maybe she's trapped out there somewhere. Ethan, being the little boy that he is, tries to escape and tries to look for his mother on his own, but you know, he's brought back and Jim volunteers to go out and search for his wife because, you know, his kids need their mother. Boyd tries to talk Jim out of it, like, your kids already don't have their mother, you can't leave them without a father also. But Jim's not having it, so he is hell-bent on going out and searching for his wife, so Kenny accompanies him. Kenny joins to, you know, make sure that Jim is able to survive. So Boyd is just like, alright, if you see spider webs out there, you know you're heading in the right place. Because remember previously, Boyd went out there, saw a whole bunch of spider webs, all that good stuff. Now, the town is pretty deep in some shit, because the food supply is running low. All their crops are rotten. They are running low on rations. They can't grow crops anymore because the soil is poisoned. They don't have any crops left, really, not a whole lot. And, worst timing ever, for some reason, because it's never happened before, the weather's changing. The season's changing. It's getting cold outside, the leaves are changing color and falling. That's never happened before. In all the years that Victor has been here, this has never happened before. Gee, it's totally not because real life filming and the seasons changed. And they just wrote that into the show. We also see Father Cautry back as a hallucination in Boyd's mind. Boyd asks the question, what are you? You know, other people have seen visions and they were something else. What are you? Whatever this Father Cautry thing is, he's just like, I can't answer that for you, Boyd. It's like, motherfuck, you can never be straight with this show. So because food's running low, rations are running low, everyone's panicking. So Kenny's mom's house gets raided because they work in the diner, so Kenny's mom has all the food that she cooks for everyone. So everyone being the, you know, greedy human beings that they are, the sin of greed. So everyone storms into Kenny's mother's house to pillage as much food as they can because everyone's scared that there's no food left. Or not a lot of food left. Randall, being the dumbass that he is trying to steal a goat to, you know, slaughter and cook lamb chops because food's running low. The dumbass really didn't think that, you know, the goats, the cows, the chickens, they are a resource. They provide milk, eggs, and last resort, you kill them for meat. Dumbass. Seriously, Randall, you tried to steal a goat when you know damn well that they are resources? Anyways, Boyd is finally able to talk him down, talk him to let go of the goat. The goat's name is Alma, I guess, because Ethan, he's just like, it's my friend, Alma the goat. Something like that. So Jim and Kenny are out there. They find a little wooden hut out there. It's better than sleeping in a tent. Typical from setting up the horror atmosphere. At nighttime, instead of, Boyd's tent being dragged off to who knows where by who knows what, Kenny and Jim are just out there in the little log cabin, and they hear knocking on the wall, but we never actually find out what it is. Alright. Let's see. Before we talk about the big stinker at the very end of the episode, Tabitha out in the real world, she asks strangers for, may she borrow a phone so she can call her mom. 2 girls, one of them's just like, no. The other one's like, alright, fine, but please make it quick. So the first girl is like, why did you do that? Why did you let her borrow your phone? You're gonna have to super disinfect it now. So Tabitha calls her mother, and no surprise, her mother's just like, where have you been this whole time? It's like, Mom, we're trying our best to get home, but, we've been stuck somewhere, and we're trying to get back home. I gotta go now, Mom. I love you. I'll call back whenever I can. That kind of thing. Because once again, Tabitha can't really explain what really happened to them. So Tabitha really has no one to talk to, nowhere to go. She has no money, no phone, she has nothing. Only thing she has with her is the lunchbox that Victor gave her with a couple of snacks that he prepared for her. Tabitha sees a church, and she goes into a confession booth where, the priest, the father, they discuss back and forth, blah, 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 a bunch of useless stuff to mention. Eventually, the priest is like, what's in the lunchbox? Humor me. Tabitha finally opens the lunchbox, sees the bunch of crap that Victor put in. But then, she sees written on the bottom of the lunchbox, if found, please return to this address. So Tabitha now knows where she needs to go. She needs to go to the address written in Victor's lunchbox, which is Victor's old address. At first I was thinking, what the fuck is that gonna accomplish? Victor is stuck at this place. His sister was stuck there and died. His mother was stuck there. Wait a second, that leaves his father. I really did think like that. I was thinking, what the hell is going to his old address gonna do? Victor's there, his sister's there, his mother's there. Oh, wait a second. There's his father. So Tabitha goes to the address. Coincidentally, Victor's father pulls up, recognizes the lunchbox. Where the fuck did you get that? I asked you a question. Tabitha's stunned like, oh my god, you're Victor's father. Wow, it's mighty convenient that after all these years, let's say maybe 30, 40 years, Victor's father never moved? He's still living in the same place? Wow, mighty convenient. And I gotta say, man, poor guy. His wife, son, and daughter all went missing without a trace. Never found them, never had any signs. And it's been decades. No idea if his family's still alive out there. Wow, poor guy. Alright, let's get to the big stinker in this episode. The goddamn ending. The big thing that happened at the end of this episode that caused me physical and emotional pain. Very much upset me deeply. Alright, so it's nighttime. they're all back inside like normal. And the monsters at night opened the barn, let the cows out, as well as opened the little fence, the little area, letting the goats out. The monsters at night let the animals out. I'm just thinking, did you not put a talisman in there? Later on, Boyd literally said, we will put a talisman in the barn if we need to. So you're telling me, you dumbasses did not put a talisman in the barn? Did I not mention several seasons ago, when I was discussing season 1, did I not mention the goddamn barn and the animals? Did I not mention, first of all, do the monsters attack the animals? Do the people of this place lock the animals in the barn at night and put a talisman in there to make sure the monsters don't get at the animals? And you're telling me now that this whole time, they don't do that. They did not put a goddamn talisman in the barn, and they did not even put the animals in the barn at night. You absolute dumbasses. Even I thought of that. And I'm just some fat random Asian guy on the internet. That's, you know, some fat idiot on the internet, and I was able to think of that. You're telling me this whole time, these absolute morons did not put a talisman in the barn to protect the animals at night. And not only that, they'd only put the cows in the barn. You didn't put the goats? Or the chickens? So anyways, at least I got that answer. Do the monsters attack the animals? No. No, they don't. Because otherwise, the people here would not leave the animals out at night, and the animals would not have survived the night. The thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that these idiots did not do it just in case. I mean, where did it start, right? People have been stuck at this place for decades. Did they randomly discover, hey, the monsters don't attack the animals at night, they only attack the humans. So, let's not even bother putting them in the barn at night. Who started that? Who's the idiot that said that? So, 1, they don't put the animals in the barn. And 2, they don't put a talisman in the barn. Because if they did, the monsters would not be able to just walk over, open the barn, let the cows out. Had they put all the animals in the barn and put a talisman in the barn, the monsters would not be able to open the door and let the animals out. You absolute idiots! But whatever. So these stupid people living here, surviving here, where food is running low, rations are running low, animals are a resource. They didn't even think to put the animals in the barn and put a damn talisman in there. The monsters let the cows and goats out in order to draw the people out of their shelters at night, so that the people are out in the open, because they have to herd all the animals back inside. Now, so I did get spoiled that Ethan opens the door for one of the monsters and the monsters get in. At least now I know the context. It wasn't Ethan being an idiot. It's because he saw his friend the goat outside. He wanted to go out and help, but a monster was standing right there when he opened the door. So, Julie and Ethan have to escape through the back because their house has been infiltrated. Sarah shows up out of nowhere and helps them. Eventually, Randall sees that people are out there, so, he opens his bus to let them in. So at least the kids are safe. Boyd, as well as Kenny's mom, all have to help herd the animals back into the barn. Now, I gotta say this. Oh, that poor cow. That poor CGI cow. Because one of the monsters, he grew out his hand, his claws, and just slit open the poor cow's throat. And you just see the cow struggling and dying. Oh, poor cow. Poor CGI cow. That they did at nighttime, because CGI is more passable in the dark than in sunlight. So this is where all the money went. All 3 seasons worth of budget went to this one CGI cow. Okay. That's where all the CGI budget went to. This one CGI cow. Okay, so they herd the animals back into the barn. But then I started thinking, wait a second. You're herding the animals back into the barn and you're about to close the door and then put up a talisman. What's stopping the monsters from just hiding in the barn and waiting for you to lock yourself in there with them? And that's exactly what happened. Boyd and Kenny's mom locked the barn behind them, but the monsters are already inside waiting. So they just locked themselves in with them. So Boyd last season was screaming, "You don't break me! You don't break me, you hear me?" Taunting this place. Turns out the monsters heard it, so they're just like, "We don't break you, huh, Boyd? Let's see about that." So they tackle Boyd down, they chain him up, they handcuff him so that he can't move and it can't escape. And what do? They kill Kenny's mom in front of him. That poor old lady, she did not deserve to die like that. They ripped her hair out and then you see the back of her head bleeding. And then you hear them brutally killing her off screen. So Kenny's mom is dead. Boyd had to watch. I gotta say, it's not as bad as, say, Glenn watching Noah die in front of him. Because we actually saw Noah die, and that was, in my opinion, the #1 most brutal death in The Walking Dead. #1. It wasn't as bad as that, mostly because Kenny's mom died freaking off screen. Well, and that's where the episode ends. That poor old lady. And you know what? Poor Kenny, too. Kenny first lost his dad in season 1, and now Kenny's mom is dead. Wait till Kenny shows back up and finds out his mom died as well. I'm not gonna lie, if I was in Kenny's position, I was stuck in this godforsaken place, and both of my parents were not only there with me, but they both died? I don't know, man. If I was Kenny, I don't know if I could take it. I would probably pull that gun out and just squeeze the trigger as I am tasting what the end of that barrel is like. Well, if that were to happen to me, I don't have a whole lot to come back to anyways, you know? Anyways, that's pretty much it for the From episode. Probably pointless minor details I didn't mention, like Jade trying to find the symbol again. The thing that pissed me off the most is the fact that these dumbasses didn't put a freaking talisman in the barn. I swear to you guys, did I not mention that in the past? Did I not mention, do they put a talisman in the barn to protect the animals? Now they confirmed, no, they do not. And they have not been doing that. Because like I said, while they were herding the animals back into the barn, Boyd said at that moment, we will put a talisman in there if we need to. You haven't been doing that the whole time. God, this show, man. This show. And you know, I can't exactly blame the characters for not thinking about this, but god damn it, why did no one think of this? In a life or death position like these characters are in, they need contingency plans on top of contingency plans. Like, let's say you get trapped indoors with one of those monsters. You need a contingency plan. And you need a plan on top of that plan in case the first plan doesn't work. What the hell could that plan be? I don't know. I didn't really think about it, but you still need that kind of plan. In case something like this happens, where the monsters were already inside waiting for you to come in and then lock the door, assuming you're safe. Oh, also, so this episode kind of confirms that the monsters do not kill for food. They do not kill for sustenance. They basically kill for the love of the sport. Because if they killed for food, they would have gone for the animals long ago. And they did not kill Boyd. Obviously, because Boyd is the main character and he has plot armor, they killed Kenny's mom in front of Boyd. So that way it would torture him and break him mentally. They do not kill for food. They kill for the love of the sport. Well, there's kind of a dead cow lying in the middle of the street. These people better hurry up. The moment the sun comes up, they better get to work breaking down that cow and preserving those meats as much as you can. They don't exactly have a freezer, I don't think. I mean, well, maybe. They have fridges, like they have kitchens, they have stovetops, they have electricity. They may have a freezer, so maybe they could preserve it. Oh, hey, you know what? You know what? Maybe they could do this. If they can keep the meat fresh long enough. Wintertime, just leave the meat outdoors. It'll be cold enough for it to be frozen. I had a friend who literally did that once. When it was winter, a box of meat, a crate of meat just outside because it would freeze. Packaged, of course. I'm still pissed off at the fact that they don't put a talisman in the barn. Because if they did put a talisman in the barn, then the monsters would not be able to open the barn and let the animals out. And not only that, not only do they not put a talisman in the barn, they also just don't put the animals in the barn. The cows are in the barn, but not the goats, not the chickens. So it's like, you absolute dumbasses, man. And before anyone makes the argument, like, maybe they don't have enough talismans for the barn. Maybe they only have enough talismans for the houses, the other buildings where people rest at. If animals are one of your main resources, wouldn't you want someone to monitor them to be sure? So why not have someone sleeping in the barn with the talisman up? You're telling me no one could have moved the talisman from the sheriff's station to the barn? Like, man, whatever, man. Alright, I'm done talking about this episode. I'm going to end this soon. You know, I did also hear other things spoiled about this show, potentially. 2 things I heard maybe are happening in Season 3. I don't know yet, but if they do happen, well, it is what it is. First thing I heard, 1, the talismans might stop working. They may stop working. Before anyone yells at me like, well, if they stopped working, then why are you mad at the fact that they didn't put one in the barn? Well, they don't know it didn't work, or they don't know it stopped working, or it's going to stop working. Before the talismans stopped working, they didn't do it. So that's one thing I heard. Another thing I heard is an idea thrown out by there. What? Thrown out there. What if Victor's mom is still alive? To that I say, you know what? Maybe. We saw Victor's mom run off, never to be heard from again. We know this place is illogical. Nothing makes sense. So had she survived this whole time, you know what? Sure. At this point, Victor's mom surviving this whole time is like the least unbelievable thing. But yeah, we technically never saw a dead body for Victor's mom. So she could still be out there. Who knows? Who knows? This place messing with time? Sure, why not? There's been technically no rules set, so they could really do whatever they want. Oh yeah, I also mentioned to certain someone who told me talismans might stop working. I'm just like, I bet you they will not explain why the talismans stopped working. And if that really is the case, if the talismans really do stop working, I bet you they will not explain why. God damn it, man! This freaking show. I tell you, they even gave Randall a talisman to put up in the bus, but yet they didn't put one in the barn. Whatever, man. I'm about to end this. Like 2 more resets and then I'm done for tonight. Well, it seems like no shiny Dialga tonight. Maybe next time. And nothing. Well, I'm gonna end this here. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time for more Dialga. Alright, bye now.